Meet an artist who turns wood inside out. A metal worker who pierces steel to create delicate designs. And later, meet two men who live far apart, but work together to create elaborate wood floors. Meet them all on Modern Masters. It's a peaceful morning in the countryside surrounding Nashville, Tennessee. Cattle graze on shoots of tender grass, and there is the perfume of magnolia blossoms in the air. Just outside of Nashville, in the town of Antioch, artist John Jordan is splitting logs, searching for the beauty hidden within.
Oh heavens, I'm just incredibly attracted to wood in all manner and forms. It's a very fundamental material, and like potters are connected and attracted to clay and earth, and like that, I think I have a real affinity for wood.
John is a master wood turner who spins blocks of tree trunks into elegantly shaped vessels for homes. It's a talent he discovered 15 years ago while using a lathe to make furniture.
And it simply came naturally to me, and it was very intuitive.
John hopes to find his next vessel inside this piece of red maple.
And the stripes and the colors that you see are a result of bugs boring into the wood, and it lets a fungus in which discolors the wood.
With a few swipes of the chainsaw, John cuts his vessel from the log and then carries it inside his shop, where the amazing transformation will take place. John secures the block of wood on a lathe, making sure it is perfectly centered. The lathe keeps the wood turning as John cuts into it with a gouge.
Oh, it's great fun. That's why it appeals to a lot of people. Things really happen pretty quickly, so I guess that urge to sort of destroy or move things comes into play here a little bit.
John must constantly stop the lathe to check the colors and inspect the wood for flaws.
All right, well, I'll take a look here. Don't see any cracks, so that's one concern. All the flat spots are gone, and I've got a nice even distribution of this color in the little stripes and patterns. When it's being done right, it sounds very good. It looks effortless, and I think if you watch me turn there, you see I don't work hard. As I never struggle and fight.
Next, John must cut away most of the wood inside the vessel to hollow it out.
Technically, the hollow turning is probably the most difficult part of the kind of wood turning that I do. It just takes a lot of practice.
John starts by creating a small opening with a large gouge. Once inside, he switches to a curved gouge or hook tool. The hook allows John to scrape the inside walls of the vessel as if he were cleaning out a pumpkin.
By having this bend or hook in the tool and a tiny cutting tip, this lets me reach inside that opening, and I can reach way over in the shoulder and get all that wood out. It's not difficult to understand, but it takes a lot of practice. But since you can't see what you're doing and it's done entirely blind, going basically by visualizing what's happening in my head as I work.
John embellishes the graceful curves of his vessel with hand-carved patterns and textures.
They're nice to touch. Wood's a very tactile material anyway, and so it adds an element of interest when you pick it up and touch it and hold it.
The piece isn't finished until John etches his signature on the bottom of the vessel.
That's fun. I like finishing pieces, and when I've signed the piece, it's totally finished. And so that signature on the bottom says, well, this is it, kid, you know, you're finished with it.
A coat of acrylic gives each work its finished shine. In the home, John's vessels elicit wonder and delight.
I think my pieces show some of the excitement that I feel for them. I try to bring everything I've got to every piece, and I'm proud of every piece that I put out there.
Through his mastery of the lathe, John is able to turn the inside out and expose the beauty hidden deep inside the wood. When Modern Masters continues, cold steel becomes dramatic furniture in the hands of this Houston artist.
I love it that I can get up and go out there with an idea, and hours later or a day later or whatever, it's actually done. So what I saw in my mind is actually physically there in front of me.
And later, creating art underfoot. More Modern Masters in a moment. Houston, Texas, is a city that is proud of its pioneer spirit. Artist Kathy Boswell reflects this trailblazing quality by forging new roads in metalwork.
I just connected with it. I immediately started making furniture, all functional things, and it was really great. Meant to be.
For 15 years, Kathy's been turning cold, hard steel into warm, functional pieces of art for the home. She combines the strength and durability of steel with elegant flowing lines and subtle colors. Her pieces of furniture have an organic feel. Steel literally seems to grow from one edge to another.
I love it that I can get up and go out there with an idea, and hours later or a day later or whatever, it's actually done. So what I saw in my mind is actually physically there in front of me.
The project in front of Kathy today is a bar stool.
This is the seat to the bar stool. The edges have been mitered, and they're put together with corner clamps, and I just want to be sure it's all level. So the legs will all touch the ground and the seat will sit flat.
Kathy uses an arc welder to tack the pieces of the seat together. A thin thread of copper slowly travels out the end of the welder and then is liquefied by electrical current and argon gas.
The legs on this particular bar stool are 1-inch 16-gauge tubing, round. I've done them with 3/4 inch, and much smaller than that, they start looking pretty spindly.
Getting the legs on straight takes a steady hand. Kathy uses magnetic levels to show her when she's got the legs in the right position. Experience has taught her how to focus in critical moments like this.
Once I'm out there, I'm just in it. There's nothing else going on, nothing distracts me. I'm just there and I'm doing it. I really don't ever get frustrated out there or angry. It just flows.
The back of the chair is made from a sheet of steel. Kathy creates a series of swirling decorative designs on the back with a plasma cutter. She pierces the steel and follows white lines she's traced onto the metal.
So these are going to go back on here to hold the back up. Got it sitting up on here because I want a little bit of an angle. Then these finials will go here. You can tell it's a good weld by the way it sounds.
Kathy concentrates on not only making a clean-looking weld, but a strong one. She wants her pieces to remain sturdy as they are passed from one generation to another.
I like it that I do all the work, and I think my clients like it that I do all the work. It's all hands-on.
Manipulating steel into elegant forms is Kathy's specialty, but she doesn't stop once all the metal work is done. She takes her pieces from start to finish, and in this case, it means creating an upholstered seat, a step most metal artists usually let someone else complete.
Okay, I'm tracing the foam to cut. I like to leave about 1/4 of an inch all the way around the edge of the plywood so there'll be a soft corner across the top of the seat. And I use an electric knife to cut the foam.
Using an electric knife is a tip from one of Kathy's friends who makes theater sets, and it works like a charm. It's Kathy's attention to every aspect of her pieces that makes her clients happy and keeps them coming back for more.
I just feel really honored that they like my work and they like it enough not to think that they have too much of it, and that they trust me enough to make it different enough that it can all go in the house and all live there together and not be too overwhelming.
When it all comes together, Kathy hopes each piece will create a lasting impression.
So I would like just to have me remembered with it, just the association of getting to meet me and work with me and the process of that.
There is little chance homeowners who own Kathy's pieces will ever forget her. Her playful spirit and creativity resonate through every piece she makes. When Modern Masters continues, two masters combine their talents to build unforgettable wood floors.
We try to create a floor that's going to be a piece of art. I mean, it can take up a lot of space on the house, and it can make or break whether or not your walls or your furniture are going to coexist with this floor.
When Modern Masters returns. A clear day along the coast of Southern California. Luxurious homes perched on hilltops near Laguna Beach look out at the deep blues of the Pacific Ocean. Inside homes like these, Richard Larson creates hardwood floors to rival the beauty outside.
I like working on homes that are nice homes up in the coastal area. I like challenging floors. It's not to say that I don't like to put in a straight floor, but it doesn't really challenge you.
For just over 20 years, he's been doing more than laying down floors. Richard's been creating art beneath his clients' feet.
What challenges me is to pick certain woods and to use different woods and intermix species of woods and to get as elaborate as possible. We got some brass pegs here. This is yellow heart. This is purple heart. This is tulip wood, cocobola or rosewood. This is lace wood. And this is wingy. So a lot of weird names. But a lot of cool looking woods.
Today he is putting the finishing touch on one floor and then adding intricate hand-cut marquetry work to another. The wood in this floor is a South American species called kumaru.
One of the most important things is to keep a wet edge. See that line, how I'm snow plowing here? I always want to keep enough finish on there. Don't want to be afraid of putting too much on.
This is one of Richard's favorite times. The finish brings out the grain in the wood and reveals its rich color. With the first coat of finish on the floor, it's time to let it dry, and time for Richard to get to work on another very challenging floor. The floor in this home is called a palace parquet pattern. It's made of white oak and is designed to include a hand-cut border and 46-inch medallion. Many floor builders use borders and medallions cut by computer-controlled lasers, but Richard prefers the hand-cut work he gets from a craftsman in San Francisco. He believes it adds a higher quality to his floors.
I met Gene Klotz 3 years ago, and he struck me as a really unique individual, being that he hand cuts all of his medallions and borders and so forth. And it's similar to, think of it like having a painting. Would you want a nice piece of art painted by a computer, or would you want it cut or painted by a person by their hand? It's kind of an easy question to answer as far as the value you put on a piece of art.
Gene Klotz grew up and went to trade school in Poland. There, he learned how to create exquisite hand-cut marquetry. Gene makes his intricate patterns using a special cutting technique invented in the 18th century. This is the border pattern for the floor Richard is working on. The design for the inlay is glued on top of the two boards Gene will cut. He calls this the sandwich.
After trimming to size, the sandwich is ready to be hand cut on the scroll saw. And this process actually haven't changed much at all since 3-4 centuries.
A scroll saw with a whisper-thin blade slices through the two layers of wood. Gene is very careful because he knows this is an important project for Richard.
It's a friendship as well as a professional relationship. Richard has ordered from us for his clients inlays in the past, and they were fascinated with the finished product.
This one section of border takes 45 minutes for Gene to cut. Richard has asked him to make 150 feet of the border. It's a project that takes weeks to complete.
But every time there is an opportunity to create something new, this is what I believe my whole creative life is all about.
Because the two pieces of wood are cut at the same time, the pieces from the light board are interchangeable with the pieces from the dark board. Gene uses the dark wood, called avadore, for the background, and the light wood, called sapele, for the inlay pattern. After gluing the pieces together and applying a light coat of sealer, Gene ships the borders and a medallion he also created to Richard for installation. When Modern Masters continues, Richard carves out a spot for Gene's intricate border and medallion. More Modern Masters in a moment. For questions or comments, please write to Modern Masters, care of HGTV, Box 50970, Knoxville, Tennessee 37950. Be sure to include the episode number and your daytime phone number. Not far from the shores of Laguna Beach, California, master craftsman Richard Larson is preparing to add a handcrafted wood medallion to a hardwood floor he's installing. Richard has already installed much of the border pattern made by his friend Gene Klotz in San Francisco. Jean also made this intricate medallion. The process for installing the medallion is much harder than that for the border. Richard must cut a hole in the floor he's already laid down that exactly fits the medallion.
Okay. 23.
Richard uses a
Compass
jig,
is
which is
46.
precisely measured to the radius of the circle and then nailed down to guide the
Okay,
cut
that's
he
where you're at.
makes.
Okay, perfect.
He uses a plunge router to cut into the floor. It cuts only a fraction of an inch at a time, so it will take several passes around the circle to cut through the hard white oak flooring. Chris, Richard's business partner and best friend, helps with this difficult procedure. Richard knows this is a step in the process that requires his full attention.
I look forward to working with the wood and the saws and being able to spend the day on the job, creating, the floor, working with the machines and getting to know the floor.
Now Richard and Chris will fit the medallion into place. Richard hopes his cut is accurate. If it's too big, he will have to put down more flooring and make another cut. A perfect fit. And now Richard can enjoy the combination of his work and that of Jean Klotz, the man who made the medallion.
I want him to say, wow, that's a nice floor. Who did your floors? I want him to be surprised at the look of the floor. I want him to see something that they might not have ever seen before.
Many people overlook floors, but it's impossible to ignore a floor built by Richard Larson. His drive to bring elaborate beauty to floors leads him to enlist the talents of a craftsman hundreds of miles away, Jean Klotz. Individually, these craftsmen are at the top of their trade. Together, they are masters.